Okay, you're welcome. All right, we're going to be looking at our module 2, which is Know Your Learner. Okay, I believe you may have or you must have already gone through module 1 where we talked about the uniqueness of each child. Each child in your classroom is unique. You have to know this for you to build right. Okay, now moving on to Know Your Learner, our module 2. Now, there was a little boy in my class. This particular boy was a special needs child, okay? He had a problem of when you talk of eye-hand coordination, he couldn't write exactly what he saw on the board. He could just copy a little and stop. And he was way older than the rest of his peers in the classroom. Please do ignore the background noise in case you're hearing any, okay? Thank you. Now, this little boy, which was about 8, yes, roughly 8 or 10 years old, could not do what his mates in the classroom were doing. And as an educator in that particular class, I noticed this and I had to do something about it. Okay. So I had to pull him closer. Usually during breaks, when others are playing, engaging in other activities, I just draw him close and ask him to write down maybe letters. I started with the basics, that's the foundation. Now, this particular boy felt a connection. It made him realize that, oh, I am seen. Wow. Oh, there is something more to being in school. Oh, my teacher notices I'm here. And gradually we began to work so that at least he could write better, at least he could understand better. Okay. And somehow this little boy was able to trace where I stayed. And for years, even after I had left the place, my family always mentioned that he came visiting. He would just come around. I came to greet, I came to see you. After staying a short while, he would leave. And then from time to time, I began to talk to him about other things, morals, his life. I even led him to Christ, as it were. So most of the time, beyond just teaching in the classroom, when you connect, when you know the learners in your class, you can identify their needs and attend to it specifically. You don't generalize, okay? You have to know them for you to impact. You have to know them for you to be able to influence them. So there are different categories of learners in your class. Remember, they are all unique, so you have to know them individually, okay? So that you can deal with them as a group and as individuals. Now we'll move on to the types of learners. Okay, we have three types of learners. We have the slow learners, we have the fast and gifted, that's fast or gifted learners, and then we have the average learners. Under the slow learners, we can impute the special needs kids. Okay, I did not want to craft them out. I just included them in the slow learners. So we have three here: slow learners, fast, and average. Now just listen to this for a short period of time, okay? My name is Miss Ruth. I am an educator with an experience for over a decade in the classroom. So over time, I've been able to see the different types of learners in the classroom. You too, as an educator, are supposed to be able to identify the types of learners in your class so that you can effectively pass across knowledge to them. Okay, we have three types of learners. We have the slow learners, that's the backward learners. We have the fast learners, that's the gifted and talented learners. And then we have the normal, the average learners, which most pupils fall under, pupils or students fall under. Okay, we'll be concentrating on the slow learners today. Now, how do you know the slow learners in your class? As an exceptional educator, you should be able to identify the slow learners in your class. Okay, number one, they have short concentration span. They can't concentrate for a long period of time. So in situations like this, what do? You have to give them what catchy stuff to look at while you teach. Yes, keep their minds focused on what you're talking about with catchy, interesting teaching aids. You don't just talk. What you do is that you keep their minds back. For example, you're talking about animals. If you have one, maybe a teddy bear that's a rabbit, and you put it under a basket, while you keep talking, you say, oh, we're going to expose what animal is under this basket very soon. Now what happens is that their minds are very, very much attracted to what you are showing them, that when you are talking about that particular thing, they are engaged, they are concentrating. So instead of them to get tired or forget what they are talking about because of that thing they are looking at, what happens is that they get to be engaged. Their minds get to be engaged and they concentrate. Number two, they have short memory. They easily forget what they have been taught. So what do you do personally? When they're going home, I'll get flashcards. For example, we learn some new words. What I do is I write those words. I'll say 10 words and I give to them. Okay, you study this at home over and over again. And what happens is that tomorrow you get to recite or you get to spell out those words. What happens is that even if they cannot remember the 10, trust me, they would remember at least 5 or 6 of them. So what happens is that you have engaged their minds to be able to recollect and remember what you have taught them in class. You can do this for other aspects as well. Don't stop at just what they have learned for the day. Give them what to do while they get home. Okay, number 3, they are easily bored and uninterested. In situations like this, you have to engage them with what? Activities, okay? Not just all right. I believe you were able to catch that. Okay. Now you were able to listen through the clip. We're going to identify slow learners. Okay. Now, how do we identify him? Some were mentioned in the clip already. Okay. When I say him, it could be a him, that's a male or a female. Okay, I'm using him to refer to both. Okay, so that no one will say, hey, just is it just male students or pupils that are slow learners. Now I just used him to categorize them. Okay, so number one, he cannot concentrate for a long period of time. You have learners in your class that can't pay attention for a long period of time. This is one way to identify a slow learner, when they are easily distracted. Okay, number two, he has short memory. This was already talked about in the clip. They cannot remember exactly what they are taught, okay, after a period of time. Some, even before the end of the day, if you ask them what you taught in the morning, they may struggle. Some, by the next day, they have forgotten. So short memory is another way to identify a slow learner, okay? And then number three, he is more often bored and uninterested. Yes. Sometimes you see them looking sloppy in the class. Their heads are down on the decks. They can't sit upright. They aren't excited about learning. Okay, this is another way to identify a slow learner. All right, the next one, he has poor communication skills. To communicate properly can be a problem. Okay, so poor communication skill, whether with his peers or with his teacher, he may struggle. So communication can be quite difficult for slow learners. Another way to identify him, he cannot copy correctly. That's lacking in hand-eye coordination most of the time. Like I talked about the learner in my classroom, then he had problem with what he saw and then what he wrote down. Okay, sometimes they miss letters from a word. For example, you say many, they may miss the a in the many, you just say mny. Okay, so that's another way to identify a slow learner. And then the last one here, we have, he exhibits aggressive behavior most of the time. Most of the time. Okay, that's not the last one. There's another one. He has poor social skills. Now, aggressive behaviors, you find them in slow learners. Hey, sometimes when you correct them or when they are tired, you see them react aggressively. So that's another way to identify a slow learners. Okay, look through this. I know you may just be remembering or thinking of one learner in your class right now. That person may be under the slow learners in your class. Okay, moving on. How do you now handle a slow learner? How do you handle him? First and foremost, we have to know what causes some of these learners to be slow. Okay, so number one, that's some health problems. Most of the special needs children fall under this. Yes, most of them is just a health challenge. Okay, so that's why you have to be patient. That's why you have to know them. That's why you have to know they're unique. That's why you have to know them individually. Okay, because some are going through health problems. Okay, you don't hammer on them acting right or getting it fast. Some are having health challenges. Okay, and then number two, certain special needs children fall under this category. Okay, I already said that for the first one. Okay, and then number two, some as a result of psychological problems, probably mothers who experienced intense anxiety and stress. Anxiety and stress during pregnancy has a psychological effect on children most of the time. That's why they ask mothers, "Oh, be happy, be in a relaxed state, do not stress yourself during pregnancy." So now that you know this, you can encourage a pregnant woman that you know, okay, to take care of herself, to stay in environments that pushes her to relax, or rather keeps her in a comfortable state. So psychological problems can be one of the reasons why we have slow learners. Okay, the next one here is home-based problems like extreme poverty or separation. Now, when parents are going through squabbles at home, it has an impact on a child. Yes, when parents get separated, when there's a divorce looming, when there is always fighting, it has a way of tampering with the progress of a child in the classroom. So this is another cause of slow learners that you see within your classroom. That's why you shouldn't be in a haste. I will say it over and again to conclude on a child. Okay, some of them have these issues ongoing, and there's some extreme poverty. They may have not eaten. You see a child acting in a certain way, that child may have not eaten, okay, maybe the previous night and even that morning. So you feel the child is not doing very well. Most of the time it's because of some home-based problems. And then lastly, school-based problem where wrong teaching method or poor learner-teacher relationships. Yes. Now, this particular one, the style or the technique you may be using to pass across knowledge may be what's disturbing, or rather cursing the child to be a slow learner. Yes. So your teaching method, you have to check it. Your relationship with the learners in your class, you have to check it. Now know what could be the cause. If it's not a health problem, if it's not a psychological problem, if it is not home based, then you may be the problem. So your teaching method, you have to keep trying them out until you find the one that suits that particular learner in your class. Okay, let's listen to this for a short period of time. All right.
Hi dear. Now marvelous agree.
Okay, how do you handle a slow learner? Now here comes the first approach. Let's listen.
Hi dear. Now marvelous a grade 5 pupil will always want to see what you are talking about before he understands the topic you are trying to teach. This is Ruth of EEclub. Welcome. Now we'll be talking about 4 forms of learning for the learners in your classroom that you have to apply while you teach for them to be able to comprehend what you are trying to teach. Okay, the first is what the visual learners. Now this set of learners only learn or understand or comprehend better through pictures. They have to see what you are talking about before they understand. Now you have to engage them with pictures or flashcards. Yes. Now when you're talking of, for example, means of transportation, you have to use words or show them a picture of an airplane or a vehicle or a motorcycle for them to remember these means of transportation. Hi dear. Now marvelous a grade 5 pupil will always want to see what you are talking about before he understands the topic you are trying to teach. This is Ruth of EEclub. Welcome. Now we'll be talking about 4 forms of learning for the learners in your classroom that you have to apply while you teach for them to be able to comprehend what you are trying to teach. Okay, the first is what the visual learners. Now this set of learners only learn or understand or comprehend better through pictures. They have to see what you are talking about before they understand. Now you have to engage them with pictures or flashcards. Yes. Now, when you're talking of, for example, means of transportation, you have to use words or show them a picture of an airplane or a vehicle or a motorcycle for them to remember these means of transportation. Hi dear. Now, Marvelous, a grade 5 pupil, will always want to see what you are talking about before he understands the topic you are.
Let's move on. Okay, ensure that for every lesson you teach, there is something to see. Marvelous would use what I have shown him to recollect whenever a question on a topic is asked. For example, what is transportation? He would say a plane flying, or cars on the road, or boats in water going from Abuja to Lagos. He may not have defined what transportation is, but he is very aware of what it entails. Now, that's a great way to begin to build, okay? So, when you have shown the learners, when they see it, what happens is that so even if he says that outside of the classroom, whomever is listening to him will understand or at most have an idea. Okay. So some of the slow learners, basically what they have seen, what you have expressed to them through what they can see, they get to recollect or remember. Now let's move on to the next point. Okay. Listen to this. Dear educators, do you know hands-on activities enables both the slow, fast, and normal learners in your class assimilate, understand, and retain what you have taught them? You may wonder, is this applicable to all subjects? Of course. As a grade 8 tutor at a point in time, I was teaching types of noun. I grouped the students into a group of 3: collective noun group, abstract noun group, uncountable noun group. I had them use sugar papers and cardboard to cut out, for example, collective noun. A bouquet of flower is an example of a collective noun. They had to craft out a bouquet of flower and then they pasted it on the cardboard and indicated collective noun, an example, a bouquet of flowers. Now, having done this enabled them to remember with it pasted in their classroom and them engaged in that activity. It will be hard for them to forget it. Now, you may wonder, can this be applicable in mathematics? Of course. Or you may wonder, can this be applicable in health habits or social habits? Of course, it can be applicable in any subject. You just have to think. Ensure you always have this before them. Have your cardboard papers, have your sugar papers, have your scissors, your gum, your erasers, your pencils, paintbrush, and what have you. Whenever these are always available in your classroom, you can engage the students. This will help them to remember or retain what they have learned. For the slow learner, this is an awesome way to help them concentrate and retain or recollect what they have been taught. For the fast learners, this helps them to be more creative and excited about learning. And for the normal learners, this works just fine. I hope this helped you. Thank you. Bye-bye. Dear educators, do you know hands-on activities enables both the slow, fast, and normal learner? Okay, so hands-on learning. I don't know if we're able to listen through on the clip. Okay, if there was any interruptions along the line, oh, sorry about that. Okay, now that's hands-on learning. Okay, this is one very effective way to help the slow learners in your classroom. They have to do for them to remember. Allow them participate by being creative. Let their minds work. Let their minds work. Give them something to do. Don't be in a rush to get on to the next lesson or topic without them practicalizing it. Eh? It's not about just teaching, writing, and copying notes on the board. Let them practicalize what they have been taught. Show them how and allow them think and do something tangible. It is pretty hard for them to forget what they were not just taught but have practicalized. Now they don't easily forget what they were taught. So hands-on activity is very good. Get sugar papers, get scissors close by, get gums close by. Allow them explore. Tell them, hey, from what we have learned, what can we do? Are we going to draw the place where we save money? Should we try crafting out a bank, or should we try crafting out this particular empire? Should we cut out just ask them, let them come up with suggestions, and then you get to it. Okay, the next one is demonstration and role play. It is essential that you prepare for each lesson like your life depends on it. Yes. So it's not just about teaching or covering the syllabus. You have to prepare for each lesson. Yes, and yes, refuse to be that educator that reads directly from the textbook and just copy notes with vague explanations. You have to understand each topic before you even begin to teach. That's why you have to demonstrate. That's why you have to explain the words that you see in that particular note, and then you can dramatize it. You can engage in role play. You can tell them, okay, this is what I crafted. Now we're going to act out what we just learned today, and then make it exciting with demonstrations. When your teaching is effective, no one is always concerned about how many lessons were covered in a day. Yes, take out time to give roles to learners in your class to act out, or you take on roles in a topic to better explain to your learners by demonstrating, or utilize aids. Okay, all right, now we're gonna move on very soon. Okay, we're moving on now. So now just take a moment to just write down the names of some of the learners in your class that you think are quite slow, or rather they are slow in learning, and then try to think of which of these you're going to try out with them in the classroom. Okay, so do that. All right, let's do a little exercise. Hands up, hands down, hands up, hands down, hands up, hands down. Shake your body, shake, shake, shake. Okay, take a stroll, go have some water, go have some juice, because we are moving on to the next type of learner. Okay, I hope you have stretched a little. I hope you have had some water. Now we're moving on to the fast and gifted learner. Now the fast and gifted learners, you may have some of them in your class. There may be a few of them, but you must have one or two of them in your classroom. Those ones are really ahead. Now let's know how we can identify him or her. Okay, the gifted learner, how to identify him. She covers a wide ground within a limited period. Now, when I say her, I'm referring to whether a boy or a girl. Okay, so I just want to use a unanimous term to refer to any of them. Okay, now the next one, she thinks very fast. She thinks very fast. There are some learners within your class that before you say one, they already know what you want to talk about. Mainly, you just mention things, they have been there, they have seen something about that, they can compute fast. So, these kind of ones are called the gifted learners, okay? She is highly creative and imaginative with very high constructive ability. There are some of them wants to just show them a picture, say, okay, I went to the mall with my mom and I saw a man putting on this or that. Oh, this is it. This is what it means. I think it is used. They already can already tell you what it's used for. You are yet to even teach. You only show them and they already know. Some of them immediately you start talking about it, say, oh, I was there when I traveled with I was there. I can remember being in a place like this. These particular ones are very imaginative, okay? As you're explaining things in, you are yet to even show a picture, they can describe it already. So they are highly creative. Okay, next, she makes friends easily. That means she's very social, she's sociable. Okay, she can communicate well through with her teacher, with her friends. Okay, so she makes friends easily, and then she has outstanding leadership qualities. These ones, they like to be in charge. They like to be in charge. They can manage things well. They are outspoken. They speak up for the class and they take on responsibilities without struggling. So these ones are called the gifted or Fast learners. Now you have to think a little. Who are the gifted learners in your class? Okay, and that's your journal. Write them down, and then we're going to see how we can work with them. Okay, so how do you handle the gifted learners? Here are a few ways. It is quite common to have gifted learners outshine and sometimes disturb the class or pressure the slow learners. But as an exceptional educator, here is what you can do. Number one, ensure the task given to the gifted learner is two or three times that of the slow learners intentionally but quietly. Okay, so most of the times we get to give attention to these gifted learners, or they get to outshine and disturb the classroom. Okay, and then they pressure the slow learners. So what you have to do is you have to give them tasks that are three times, two times more than that of the slow learners intentionally. Okay, so you have to include, number two, include creative exercises that makes them think a while. For example, instead of 500 minus 80, which you give to the whole class, expatiate for them as a word problem and allow them process by themselves. Say instead, Mr. Dairos took a trip to his village and encountered a lot of problems, one of which was the 500 sacks of onions he bought. While offloading, he had 45 bags torn, of which he abandoned. He had 30 more bags that had water in them, and then 5 bags that got missing in transit. How many bags were left intact? Now, before the learners digest the fun story, before they begin to deduce figures, the slow learner at this point would have started subtracting. Okay, so remember the question is 500 minus 80. For the slow learners, it can be as direct so that they can process and do the accounting and calculations. But for the fast or gifted learners, allow them to think first. As they're thinking or trying to deduce the numbers, okay, the slow learners are catching up. Okay, so this can be an extra work. So this can be an extra work given after the usual one for the general class to keep him or her engaged. Now, even if you get to give them as it is, okay, give everybody the 500 minus 80 and they are done. Give them another question that is a word problem. Let them go think and write while the slow learners are still working on their own work that you gave initially. Okay, so giving two times or three times the tasks you give to the general class to the fast learners keep them engaged instead of disturbing the class or pressuring the slow ones. All right, let's move on. Number three, give the gifted learners leadership roles in the class to manage responsibilities and harness his qualities better. Okay, so engage them, give them leadership roles. Okay, you are in charge of the duster, you are in charge of these books, ensure that they are well arranged. Hey, look here, the bags that are arranged, ensure that no one keeps his or her bag here, ensure that it is arranged properly. When it's time for you to all go out, you make sure you are in front to make sure no one gets out of the line. When you give them this kind of responsibilities, you put them in charge and you make them to become better leaders. Okay, and when they are missing it, you correct them along the way because they have these qualities already. So it's just for you to harness to sharpen it. Okay, so another thing here you have to take note of as educators or exceptional educators, be very conscious not to deprive them of moving forward, especially when they have understood a topic. Okay, now most of the time when they have understood, we keep them waiting for others to catch up. When they begin to struggle to move on, or they become laid back because we are trying to make them yeah, we're trying to make others to catch up with them. Be conscious of not depriving them of moving forward. If they have to move on, or they've understood it, move on. See how you can, for example, from the notes that you have given, tell them, okay, since we have done this already, or since you understand this already, now look at the words in this note that we just copied. What do you understand by the word education? What do you understand by the word transportation? What do you understand by the word executive? What do you understand by this word? This, when they explain it, you tell them, okay, write this forward, down, and then make sentences with it. Move ahead, or say, okay, from what you have understood about transportation, can you list out the types? I want you to write it out here. Always allow them to move forward. Don't deprive them of moving forward because of the slow learners. Number two, they should not be delayed or slowed down. Number three, find multiple ways to engage them. Let them read it, reread it, draw out new words, create new sentences from those words until they and you as their teacher is satisfied. And then next, don't call them I too knows or deprive them of affirmation when it is due. And also do not compare them with the slow learners openly. Now there is something we do. Hey, you keep quiet. You have been answering. That's enough. Oh, you know too much, right? Oh, you shut them down. That's not okay as an exceptional educator. Don't do that to them. And then don't deprive them of affirmation. If they answered right, give them a high five, hail them, let them know that they are doing well. Don't deprive them of affirmation because another person has not picked up. It's okay to affirm them. And then another thing, do not compare them with the slow learners. When you say, you are so fast, you are so fast. Oh, take a look. You have done so well. He's still just starting. He's so slow. When you do that openly, what you're doing is you're making them think they are better than others. And that can make them to become bullies or to shame others. Okay. So to avoid bullying or shaming their classmates, you don't openly compare them with others. Okay. Oh yes, hands-on activities work for them just right too. Hands-on activities is applicable to all kinds of learners. You have to engage them, keep them creative, let them do something with their hands. It helps them remember. Okay. So I hope we have been able to get something about the fast learners. Okay, now what you're going to do, you're going to outline the fast learners, as the gifted learners in your classroom. Think of ways you can harness this their giftedness. Don't leave them at just the way they came. Some of them came as raw materials. Their parents are putting in their best. What can you do? What more can you do to harness and bring out these tangible qualities on the inside of them? So don't let them not come to your classroom and they are less of what they were before. Let there be an improvement because they are within your space. Okay. So harness this. Write down what you're going to do differently with the gifted learners in your class. Okay. Now let's take a little break. Can we stroll around? Can we shake a little? Our hands up, our hands down, drink some water. Okay. All right. Now we're moving on to the last type of learners, the average learners. Are we together? Yes. Most of us fall under the average learners, or most learners within your class fall under the average learners. That's the ones that, whether are going through their age appropriate step or milestones. They don't struggle like, or rather, they don't act below their ages. They're just average and okay. Now, this is a good way to build or make them to become exceptional, to become excellent, to become fast, to become gifted. So the average learners are also good learners to work with. Okay. Now, how can I or how can you identify him or her? Now, number one, majority of learners fall under this category, like I said already. And as an exceptional educator, it's on you to work on this learner to become exceptional. Yes. Number one, he manifests average abilities. Okay. He's due his class, he's due his age, he acts like his age. And then part of her learning problem could include lack of punctuality, not coming to school early, some level of distraction and negative influence of peers. They want to do what their friends are doing, they want to be like their friends, they copy what their friends are doing, they're distracted most often. Okay. And then she could exhibit some level of giftedness when faced with challenge. Yes, some challenges. Most of the time, you get to see something different, something outstanding from them when they are faced with challenge. When you put them out there to compete, you will be shocked to realize that, wait, this person seemed like a gifted learner, like a fast learner. Why? Because he has been faced with challenges. Okay, so this is another way to identify him or her in your classroom. So how do you handle them? Let's move on. Calmly insist that she explores by asking questions often. Ask questions, let her think, let her get creative, let her process better. Ask questions. Hey, what did you learn from what I just talked about? Hey, what points are you going to work with tomorrow? Okay, what did you do? Keep asking them questions, allow them explore, okay, and insist that they explore. Let them not just stop at, oh, copy note and I'm tired, I'm okay. No, move beyond that. Ask questions. Let them explore. Number two, utilize hands-on learning activities, like we've talked about in the previous learners modes of working with them. Okay, so utilize hands-on activities and then include quizzes and group work to push them to enjoy winning. Like I spoke about in the clip on hands-on learning, where I grouped the class into three because we're talking about types of noun, and then they had to interact, they had to create together, they had to work together. Group work pushes them to want to win, especially when you see who the group who does an outstanding work or design or craft gets awarded more marks, gets awarded uh, pencils, crayons, and what have you. It pushes them. So include quizzes in what you do, include group work in what you do, okay? And then utilize positive reinforcement, clap, high five them, smile at them, dance for her, even at the slightest improvement, just like the slow learners, and watch him want to achieve more. Okay, so these are ways you can handle your learners. As you know them, as you can identify them, don't forget to pray for them. Yes, as an exceptional educator, it's not just meeting them in the classroom. In the private place, pray for them. When you resume school, affirm them. Pray with them when they want to write examinations, when they are going out for to represent anywhere. Pray with them, encourage them, affirm them, and watch them shine. Okay. So now, do you know your learners? Do you know them very well now? Okay. If you're yet to even understand where or who falls under where, ask questions. Hey, get to know, like we talked about in the module one. When you ask their parents, you get certain details from their parents. So ask the right questions. When you ask the right questions, you from time to time, if it's a daily thing, you ask them how they are feeling. When you get to the class, you connect with them by asking how they are feeling. How are you feeling today? Everything all right at home? Hope you ate at home. When you do this, the child it's is you see the you get to see what the child is feeling, the personality of that child, and it helps you handle them very well for that day. Okay. And then you write a problem with one solution. Like we've been talking about writing out, okay, the names of your learners and apportioning the right skill or style you're going to use to help them become better. You identify the problem, make sure you come up with a solution. Make sure you say, okay, from now henceforth, there is no class that I would handle without pictures or flashcards. They're supposed to be part of my learning, part of my teaching, part of my impacting. So always find a solution to the problem. When you do this, you'll be able to identify all the learners in your class, the types of learners in your class, and ensure that you get the best out of them. When your class improves, you too, you improve. You are happy, you are content, you are fulfilled. I hope you have been able to learn something today. You have been able to grasp what you're going to work with from henceforth. Okay, I know it has helped you. Catch you in the next module. Ciao, ciao.